Thank you for joining us. Everybody, my tribe, my people, I have a very special guest in the house.
Yeah.
The Wellness and Wahala podcast. And for you that are joining for the first time, wellness, we talk about great public health wellness tips, and then Wahala issues. So Wahala in Nigerian Pidgin English means issues and problems. So we go give you some great tips on how to overcome various Wahala. So my special guest today, my brother, Dr. Kelechi Ibe-Lamberts in the house. How you doing?
I did. We thank God. God is giving us strength.
Yes,
so thank Him for His mercy. Thank Him for His beneficence, and we did take it one day at a time.
One day at a time.
Yeah.
And today's topic, we have a expert on Black and Transnational. You're actually the host of my Black is Transnational podcast.
Yeah.
So please tell us more about yourself, about your podcast. Let them know who you be.
You know, it's funny. This is the first time where I'm the one that's asking the questions. I be like, the one that's interrogating me.
Yes.
But my name is Dr. Kelechi Ibe-Lamberts, and I am an assistant professor in upstate New York, where I teach on public health and community health and issues related to health disparities, specifically with Black and culturally diverse Black communities, people who identify as transnationals or don't even know that they're transnationals yet until I explain it to them. So I did my training at the University of Illinois. U of I, ILLINI.
U of I.
Yeah. I'm a self-proclaimed Nigerian as well. I also identify as a transnational, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go along. But I did my training at U of I, and then I did my postdoc training at the University of Florida in Gainesville. And now I'm in upstate New York where I teach and I do research. And, I live in my life. I have my family. I have 2 kids, and I have a lovely, beautiful wife, Wanda, and we're here.
Nice. And tell them about your background, because when you say you're transnational from your name, so you're Shigerian,
Chi-Town. Yeah. So, I immigrated to the United States at a young age. I identify as what they will call a 1.5 generation, right? Because when they say 1.5, yeah. So originally, like those who immigrate, like our parents, or those who come as an adult who are fully mature, those are what they call as first generation. But because I came as a small Pekin. I came when I was like 8. So they call me 1.5. And then those who are born in the United States from those who are first generation that immigrated here are called second generation. So for me, I'm a 1.5 generation. I immigrated to the United States when I was 8 in Chicago, which is where I was raised. And then I am Igbo and Yoruba. My mom is Yoruba, my dad is Igbo, which is where you get Kelechi. But if you're to talk to me, most language I probably understand more is Yoruba, actually. So I was raised in a Yoruba household more than anything else. But
nice.
So a Shigerian, and I identify in when we talk about transnational, that just means that I'm a dual citizen. I go back and forth. I have still strong ties to my roots.
Yes, so
we're still connected. We regardless of where we're at, whether we're in the States, we're in the UK, wherever, we still practice our culture heavily, even though we're still also very much acculturated to the new land. So that even the term Shigerian in itself identifies it's a great way to encapsulate the transnational experience, because we are Chicagoans, but we're also Nigerians, and we have been able to bring both and make it part of who we are and our experience.
Best of both worlds.
Exact, the best of both worlds, my sister. You're doing my research for me, though. Like I doing it very well. Like you're even speaking for, like, I'm enjoying this. This is sweet, because that's exactly right. Like we're taking advantage of the best of both worlds. So my work has always been about bringing to the forefront that we as Africans, we as Black people, and those who have the opportunity to have the strength of being connected to our roots back in Africa or wherever we're from in the diaspora, is that we have the gift of being able to have the best of both worlds if we choose to. Because the thing of reality is that it's a choice.
Yes.
It's a choice. People come to Nigeria. People leave Nigeria. I should say people leave Nigeria and go to Yankee, or what they call America, what they call Yankee, or go to John's, what they call France. UK. But you can go and be like, I'm done with that country. Like, I don't want anything to do with them. Like, I'm done. They should leave me be. They should free boys. And if they choose to do that, they can do that. They can be able to just completely acculturate and assimilate to the American lifestyle, or change their name from Chidinma to Johnny. And that's it. And
I know people like that.
There are people who do that thing. So like, it can't be. It's not past the realm of reality. So like, there are people who actually can choose to say that when I leave this plane now and I land and I see that Statue of Liberty, that's it for me. That's that Nigerian thing. I'm done with the corruption. I'm done with this. I'm done with that. They can be completely done, and that's their choice. So when I talk about the word transnationalism, it's a choice that we make. Whether it's a choice that our parents made and instilled a particular cultural practice in us that allowed us to have that longing to want to go back to Nigeria and build, or we choose, maybe we didn't know where we were from and we decide to build a relationship with our home country. So it's a choice that we make in order to be able to continue to practice and adopt and sustain a lifestyle that impacts the choices that we make. And from my perspective, a lot of things that I do when it comes to transnationalism is health related, because many of the things that people do is, when we talk about transnationalism, it's not like it's a new thing, or it's not like it's something that's been, that just came out in 2010. Like, this thing has been there for a while, since the colonial times. It's just that when it comes to health, like, nobody really thinks about how our dual citizenship affects us, how it affects our parents. So our parents who are still eating eba and right in America, like, people here in America can't really tell them the actual consequences or benefits of these food choices they make, and how it affects them, because no one knows. Automatically, when they see us, they just think, oh, you all eat fried chicken from Sharks, or fried chicken from Harold's, and mild sauce, and we do. Well, the kids do. I don't know about the parents. Sometimes my mom tries to dabble, but no, it doesn't. She fronts like she doesn't, but we know she does. So, but when she, but they don't. They just assume that we all Black people in Chicago specifically we're all the same, and they don't. And so therefore they feel like there's a one size fit all when it comes to how to take care of us, and that's far from the truth. There are different cultural nuances that we have that need to be respected. And it's not, I always say when I research or talk to people about what this is, it's not to widen the gap between African Americans and Black immigrants or African immigrants. It's to show there's diversity in the Black community, and each of our needs need to be addressed. And you can't just feel like you're just going to be like, oh, I'm just going to throw this one net and it's going to capture and cure all the issues in the Black community. And now we've addressed health disparities, because no, you have to dig deeper into the community, into the Black population, and realize that what this group needs, the other group may not. So how do you in a culturally competent manner, how do you address these issues to the way that makes them feel respected, to make them feel comfortable? Because the truth is, our parents are here, even though they all long to go to Nigeria when there's when it's all said and done. We know we know that America ties them down because of several things. So they still have to live here, and they're still acculturating to what's happening here. Despite how much jollof rice they want to make at home, they still deal with the stressors that the environment create for them. So nothing is changing. So we as the children, we as the ones who have the opportunity to be educated here in health, medicine, whatever the case may be, we have to be the ones that advocate for them, advocate for ourselves, so that people can be able to treat us, take care of us, address our needs in a way that still allows us to be able to maintain who we are as Africans, so that there's no wahala. Isn't that right?
Yes, so that you just concluded very well.
You see, I just threw that wahala thing. I'm trying.
That's that Shigerian swag, you guys. I see them. You see them. The host is trying to spin it on me. So let's talk about your days at U of I. So I don't know if you know, but when I was at U of I, when you're talking about transnational and people trying to fit us in one box, because I think in the Black and the African community, we, and even Caribbean, we're very diverse. So what was missing at the University of Illinois, of course, a predominantly white campus in Champaign-Urbana, they had La Casa for the Latinos, they had the Asian student union, they didn't have an African or Caribbean student union. So I became the founder with my sister.
Oh yeah, we
my
know.
Ghanaian friends, ACA, African Culture Association.
Our legends, like, you guys are legends. Let's not play around though.
But I'm so happy because, I went there. Well, this year is actually the 20th anniversary of ACA, and we were trying to do it big, but of course, Corona, Wahala, just postpone it. I won't say cancel, or postpone. I think a lot of alumni. What I really want is a lot of great ACA alumni and then the current students to get together and like mentor a lot of them. Because I think there's a lot of ACA alumni, you being one of them, doing so well. And I think a lot of the students can learn from us. And then also, how are we linking up to, the stuff that's going on in the diaspora here, but also back at home. Just like you said, we have the best of both worlds, but we need to still keep ties on what's going on back in the continent. Keep up with election, keep up with what's going on, and hopefully even transition. So how you saying transnational? I always hope and pray, and that's why even when I graduated, I was like, I need to go back to Nigeria, to Africa to serve, because our parents made the sacrifice to come here.
Exactly.
And they sacrificed a lot, for us, to give us opportunity for great education and so forth. But we never forgot home, at least, the way our parents raised us. Nigeria is always, she always say, you're Nigerian American, but you're Nigerian first.
You're Nigerian first. You're not an Americano.
Right,
oh, God.
When you enter the house,
When you enter the house, you're Nigerian.
So we have to be proud of our country, and especially with all that's going on here. What I would love is to see a lot of our people even going back. So even if it's not permanently, but I know a lot of people go back and do like medical missions, temporarily. But like, what can we do? And even to bring a lot of African Americans. So, like you have your wife.
Oh, yeah.
She come back to the continent. It goes a long way. Like my sister, she took a lot of her sorority members back to Nigeria. Like, what can we do as a transnational to even open the eyes to a lot of Blacks that don't even know the good stuff about Africa?
Yeah. Speaking my soul. It's funny that you actually are saying this, because my wife and I are actually working on something that kind of is around that, and you're hearing it here first, exclusive. Right. But that's something that we're working on actually, and we're working on putting something out there, and it's a business venture of ours. Well, I won't even say a business venture yet, but it's something that's a passion of ours to be able to create that transnational experience. Because what you're saying is exactly what my passion is, because I believe that in order for us, if we're even going, I'll talk about ACA too, because ACA means so much to me, and I have to talk about that. But first and foremost, as far as being able to, from a social justice standpoint, in order for us to really become who we're meant to be as a Black community, who they have spent years and years and years to withhold us from being and suppress our potential, we have to become a system, and we have to bridge the gaps, and I think that in order for us to do that, we have to not hesitate in allowing our African American brothers and sisters, or even those who are maybe not be African American, but maybe just lost in the diaspora, so to speak, as our parents would say, lost. But just to be able to let them know that there's a country here, there's a continent filled with countries of people who look like you, who maybe didn't necessarily go through the crazy, just egregious levels of slavery, but also did experience white supremacy in its own right through colonialism, and you can't compare oppression. But I think we have a common goal as far as being able. We all want to grow and we all want to evolve, but we have so many scars that we need to heal. But the problem is that they've spent so much years trying to separate us.
Preach.
That's it. So, I mean, this is real. Like, this isn't even like, at first I used to be like, they're just they're not, but there's a purposeful. It was purposeful. Like it's going back as far as the 1900s, because what I've learned over time is that they've told one group, the Africans in Africa, that African Americans here are in America. They're wild. They're violent. They're angry. They're filled with rage. They're gangbangers. They don't take advantage of the opportunities that are given to them. They're lazy, right? And that's one side. And then on the other side, you're told that the Africans that are coming in are from the jungle. They are savages. They are Black. They don't know how to be civilized, and the ones that are civilized are better than you, African Americans. So therefore, we're going to give them your job because we like them better than you. But they're mostly monkeys. So now you have one, and so you have African Americans saying, well, I'm not trying to go there, like things might be bad here, but at least I'm not in a hut. And
right.
Or like, have you been to Lekki? Have you been to like, hold on, have you been to Accra? So my wife and I have been really trying to create that way to educate Black people about what it's like to be transnational, bringing them back home to Africa, letting them see the finer things in life, letting them know that you can invest in Africa, because one thing you need to understand is that Africa does not need your business. Africa does not need your pity. Africa needs your business. It needs your involvement. Africa needs you to invest back where you're from, right? And we also want to invest in you in America. So as African Americans, I want them to see, like, Omar, do you know how much they value hip hop culture? Like the culture that African Americans have struggled to build, that their ancestors died for and built. Do you know how much the world loves it? Yeah. It. I mean, it's just so funny how I wish that African Americans knew how much they are revered in other parts of the world. People don't necessarily say it out loud.
They're the global majority. I heard that from somewhere, and I was like, we are the global majority. I said, it's only here in America that you travel to that they call us minority. But everywhere else, we're the majority.
Yeah, because the truth of the matter is that slavery was a global thing. They took us everywhere, and we built the entire world. The truth is, the entire world was built off the backs of our ancestors, some way, some shape, or some form. But the truth is, for those, so I always say, why are you hesitant? So like being able to say, hey, look, come. There, you have organizations, for example, that have been on my show, like Discover Giddy, who they take people back in December, and they show them a good time. And African Americans, wherever you are, we need to be able to show people that it's okay to come to Africa. And then once we do that, then I think it's not just about coming in and establishing tourism, but now it's about coming in and making it where you belong. Right? Yes. And knowing that just because you come back to Africa doesn't mean that you have to like stay there. You are a global citizen. The world is yours. That's one thing that we as Africans do not want to. Black people, I shouldn't say African, but we as Black people, we need to understand that we are global citizens. As you mentioned, we are the majority. The world is ours. We should not limit ourselves from being able to travel and see the world. And a lot of African Americans are so isolated for whatever reason. They don't allow themselves, and the system does not allow them to be able to go out and see. And I always say, like I told my wife, once you go out of America and you start to see other places, you realize, well, America, we appreciate everything and we love the country. But there's so many other things, opportunities for me to be able to do great things. I mean, my dollar in Nigeria means so much more. Right. I mean, so like, why not be able to take advantage of that? You're just as entitled to it as anyone else is. So we're trying to do that. We're trying to find ways to be able to engage, our people and start slowly bringing them back, but allowing them to invest, start facilitating ways for them to visit Africa. But then when they come back to America, they are now adopting the culture and finding ways to be able to remain, connected to Africa, so that because you can become it's not about the Africans or the Black immigrants coming to America and staying with Africa. No, it can be the other way around. An African American can go, and it doesn't have to be where your ancestors were.
And many of them are going though. They take a DNA test. They say, I'm Ghanaian.
My sister, you don't need DNA. To be honest, let's be real. It's not like America. We just said, like America is where our DNA is.
Our DNA is our skin. That's why I told somebody, I said, you don't look at me.
No.
The DNA is written all over me. I don't have to say DNA.
You don't need no DNA. Look, I bet, pick the country you want to go to.
Pick them. Out of the 54 nations.
Adopted. Just like the colonists picked the country and decided you too, find a country. Go and settle there.
That's
the terrain.
Look, you just made a good point. Let's not even scroll over that point. That the colonizers, they're not from our place. So understand, wicked people were able to say, look, we're gonna divide this place. They don't know the language. They don't look like us. They don't understand our culture. Yeah. They don't want to. And they said, look, we're gonna go there. We're gonna steal their resources.
Exactly.
and steal their people.
Come and see confidence. Come and see confidence. Why can we not have that same confidence?
But we are. But the thing is, we're royal, so because they lie. Like, the thing is, this is history. Like, that's why I think that when you say my Black is transnational, it's powerful, because it now gets back to tell people. I said, go back to the oldest book. If you go back to the Bible, Bibeli, even Jesus found refuge in Egypt. Egypt is not Middle East. It's Africa.
Exactly.
You understand?
Exactly.
So when even they say, I let my people go, they were in Egypt. You know what I'm saying? They were enslaved, meaning that, Africans have slaves. Yes, because they have royal, like, big boys in Africa. So that's what people don't understand. But the way they did slavery was different than what the colonizers call slavery. But people should know, wait, and a good example of that is, Ludacris, he's married to a lady from Gabon.
Yes. And
he got his dual citizenship this year. He went back and invested.
Omar, let me tell you, real talk. I've been begging. I literally hit up. I'm not even gonna lie to you. For season 3 of my Black is Transnational, like, I've been hitting up his wife just so I can be able to talk to her about this, because that's powerful. I've been hitting up Eudoxie Bridges trying to see if I can get her to jump on the show.
I love that.
I would love to have her talk about that experience, because she's proudly African. I love it. I love how proud she is about being African. I love how she has incorporated her African practices and culture and beliefs into her family, and they've embraced it. Ludacris, being a celebrity that he is, he speaks for Africa. He speaks about Africa with so much reverence, so much love. And you love to see it. So why not? That's what I'm saying by, like, when we talk about we as Black people should have the confidence to be able to go back home. And the problem is that African Americans in particular, they don't have, they're looking. I have so many friends and people who I'm associated with that are looking for someone to help facilitate that trip. Like you said,
bam. And that's where I think you and your wife will be a lifeline. Do you understand?
Exactly.
We don't have a lifeline. We don't have a bridge. Even lots of people that I meet, not just Blacks here, but even people, Blacks in the island. My last post was in Jamaica. A lot of Caribbeans, they're like, how they want to go to Africa, but they don't want to just go as normal tourists. They want to go with somebody that's from there, that understands the culture. You understand? And they also have opportunities, to invest in everything. Like, if I'm going to invest, and some people say, they're like, why do you? I said, no, I only invest in Black things. Do you understand? So if you see me, I said, and the only exception is like Israel. I said, because, I'm a child of Oluwa. So, I consider myself Israelite too. So, so if on the stock market, I go see Israel stocks, I go invest. If I see African companies, they have I said, there's so many gold and commodity companies. I said, before I go give myself to Oimbo guy, I go invest
do it for your own people. You have to do it for your own people, because that's the only way.
With your own people, and your investments will go longer. Just like we have the best of both worlds. $1 here is like 400 and something night right there. You get. That's the thing that people are not understanding. That's why I said, like, there's so many successful African Americans there are that do not know, and it's like, and even my wife is involved. My wife's a pediatrician. Like, I can, and for her, when she came to Africa, it was like, we went to like some very dry places. You understand? Like, very dry, very raw places. Why?
Because when you're going, like, for me, it's been a while since I've never been able to explore Nigeria as even like an adult. Because when I was a small boy, like me, when you're a small child, like, you're always hanging around mommy, daddy, them, because you can't drive in Nigeria anyhow because you don't know anything, So the thing about it was that, so when I came, she came with me the first time to meet my parents. We were getting ready to get married, and we went to Abuja. Abuja is okay, but where we were at, Abuja is very dry. So like my folks in like the suburbs in Abuja, dry as ever.
Which part of Abuja? I lived in Abuja. I lived in Wuse too in Maytime.
You're talking about the hot spots. He's over there in like what is this place? Some suburb in some satellite town, like in the like that cool area.
They be popping over there too. Don't be
I won't sleep on it too, but that place was at least the way it was at, I was like, this thing is not for me, man. And then the next time we came down, we went to like the village, Imo State, so like she hasn't gotten to even see, she hasn't gotten.
So you didn't take her to the Lagos?
She hasn't seen the sweetness. She saw Lagos. She experienced Lagos for like one day, which was okay, but she hasn't seen the sweetness of it. You know what I mean?
Like they fine you.
You have to find me. Is understand? I'll pay fine because it's my fault.
You have
But
to
like,
pay fine.
we're trying to compensate for that one. So when we go next time, that's the thing. That's why I say like we have to go to all these places because she falls in line with those people who want to see the beauty. In addition, you can see the nature and the natural organic beauty and the landscape, but you want to also see the civilization. When you see like yo, how's Tiwa Savage and Davido, how they living this life, and you're like, they're enjoying all these things that you think that Americans only have. Nigerians too, they have it. And if you want to see how to spend money,
it, and they even have it better, and they pay cash. Over here, you guys pay credit card.
Exactly.
You take loan. Over there, it's cash and carry. When you see people that have something, their house paid off, their car paid off. So when you see real ballers, not correct.
Not serious thing, man. Not serious thing. That's what I was trying to say. If you want to see how to spend money, come to Nigeria. Like that's and I believe in it wholeheartedly. You understand?
Ballers that they have dollars, pounds, euros that they be spraying you with money.
They carry last now. We know that carry last. So like it'll be small thing. Like so we those are the things. So like even when we're going back to ACA, right? And like ACA was a very important. And I think I can speak for several of my colleagues and my classmates and friends who all grew up with me through ACA. It's a very important venue and community that was built where we, as those younger 1.5 second generation who had grown up in that African home where you were tired of coming out of the house smelling like stockfish, and you're so embarrassed in high school. Because you're just like, every day I'm smelling like stew. Like, I'm more like Zomi. Like, why is this?
Like, look at this.
Like, oh my God, I'm trying to bury myself in cologne. I'm praying Dracar Noir, like trying to smell. This thing just smells so bad because now I'm mixing Axe with Ogie smell. Like, I'm going to school. So, and then all those kids who grew up in that, and then you realize you get to college and you've been so embarrassed about your Africanness, and then you realize when you go to ACA, you start to see like, man, we are blessed. Like we have something that other groups don't, and they're missing. We have the ability to be able to do. We can do what they do at CBSU. Mm-hmm. We can also do more because we know what like our culture entails, and we are able to bring that to the campus, and we're able to, and I mean, and that's I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about being able to be more confident in who I am instead of just going by the name Kels. Like, call me Kelechi. You get what I'm saying? Like, call me the name. People who know me well, you shop with me in the gym, you get me, then you can call me Kels. But now it's just like, call me Kelechi because that's where I am. That's where I'm from. Like, I'm not
so happy.
So I mean, what you gave us was the gift, and you gave us something sustainable that for 20 years. I'm
telling you, and the theme for our first year was Africa Unites, because people were like, at first when we came up with it, they were like, let's have a West Africa one, or let's have, because it was more West Africa. I said, no. I said, we're Africans, and Africans, even I have friends that were Dominicans, and we did stuff with like Casa. We're like, look, there's a lot of Spanish influence, Portuguese influence, French influence in Africa. So look, we are all one, and let us celebrate our diversity and let us unite. The foundation of us united. And for the 10th year anniversary of ACA, we won the Student Organization of the Year award, and that is big. We beat out all the white fraternities and sororities.
I remember, I was there.
And like it was a big deal. And I think that ACA, it's cool now to be African, but
yes, it is.
When we started ACA, it was really we were just now getting people, to understand Afrobeat and everything, but people still didn't understand. But now you see like the Davido, you can hear people, at the club playing Burna Boy and all of that. But it was not common when I went to school, you know what I'm saying, and graduated in 2003.
I did right after, because I think my class is I'm a class after TT. So our generation, I'll say, we were in that middle transition bridge.
Yeah, you guys were in the middle transition. You were in the middle. It was just coming to life.
Yeah, it was just coming to life. So the ACA fashion show, what they call the cultural show now, was, it was there, but it was like, it wasn't that crowded. It was like people who were down and visiting schools. And then you started to see over time as like it was growing. And anybody that I have come to the show, when I have conversations with people, even TT, I talk to her about it. When that Azonto movement came through, sis,
Yes, you see,
That horizontal movement changed everything
it
about
changed
how
the game.
it changed the entire game, and everybody was like so cool to be African now.
Right.
And and then in ACA, we blew up, and I was blessed enough, because one of my biggest regrets in undergrad was I did not serve, and that was because I had like my Black Greek obligations and all those things, but I did not serve on the board for ACA. But I was blessed enough when I stayed there for grad school to become its first grad advisor.
Hey.
So I was that for about a good 2 years to be able to help. So when you were talking about the whole thing about mentoring and being, like, that was a big thing for me. And I think there's several, ACA alums who know me and know that I'm very passionate, because when it comes to education, and when we were in school, like, a lot of us Africans we come to school because our parents told us that we only have 3 options. So either you're a doctor engineer, you're a doctor engineer, or, if not, then you're a failure. But,
exactly.
but something, or a lawyer, I should say. But, one of the things that I'm trying to do, and I tried to do when I was there before I left, was I wanted to get more of my people who I identified with, or who are transnational or second generation, but had that connection to home, grew up in an African household. Like, I wanted to get them to be more involved in research, and my goal was to mentor them, whether it was life, but also in if they were passionate about it, in research, or what I call, that I adopted from a colleague, what we call me search. Which is you're studying about things that are more related to your experiences. That's how I came up with this transnational agenda, because I was sitting down talking with my advisor one day, and he was just like, "Tell me about your life." Like, and I was just talking to him about like my experience being able to go to Africa for the December and come back, and then I'm eating this, and my mom is sending me food, and I have to send money to my family if I have it. And he was just like, "Man, you have a really interesting experience." And I was just thinking about it, and I was like, "Wow, huh." And then I found out there was a name to it called transnationalism, and I was like, "Huh." Then I was like, they don't talk about it with Black people, and when they do, it's not much, because they don't talk about us, period. So I found that was my avenue for me to just take over and do something. So when I saw younger students who were like, in that same situation, who wanted to do something in health or public health, or were pre-med but weren't sure about it, like, I would scoop them under my wings and be able to try to get them to be more involved in trying to do some type of research that is related to their experiences growing up as a budding transnational. And I think that worked out well, because a lot of the ACA students tend to look for mentorship, but a lot of them are looking for it not just with life and guidance, but also in academics, or helping them pave their path for the future. That's what we're here for as alums. We have to be able to pay it forward, and we're the ones that went through that road, but we want to make sure that we go back and reconstruct the road so that it's a wider road with wider lanes, and give them more options, and let them know that it's not just this one path. Because what's happening is that you find yourself as, when you feel like your options are limited because of all the pressure that's put on you, there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of stress in our communities and college students, and that's something that I've done research on and continue to do research on. But there's a lot of stress on college students about achieving a certain goal and not being able to communicate with their family members about what they really want to do and what they really want to be, and even if they want to do research, it's like, my parents won't understand that. So like, I'm trying to be able to help guide them properly and let them know that you can still be successful, because at the end of the day, parents might tell you one thing and say that, oh, you're a failure at this, but when it's time for you to send, when they want some money, when your auntie, uncle them are saying you're
when you're successful,
they're not going to say, oh, it's because you didn't finish medical school, I'm not taking this $20. Like, they'll take it. So they'll take them. They'll use it, make buy food, and so like, it doesn't matter. Everybody,
they go chop.
Yeah. So
when you're doing well, but when on the pathway to success, which is very shaky, you get a lot of pain, and let me put it like that. And a lot of harsh words, because our parents are traditional. I don't blame them. Now looking back, I used to be like, why do our parents think like that? But these people, we're first generations. They had a different experience than us. So, and the way that they were brought up and what was passed down to them, and some things, we need to break it, in those cycles, I would say, and generational ways of thinking traditionally, that are not positive. We need to break it for our children, because it's more of not choosing and saying, or categorizing and saying only these careers are successful. No, you might look at, I might have my son and I see, this guy, he's always kicking the football up and down since he was little. I'm like, okay, he likes sports. He might be a footballer, a soccer player. His salary in 1 month, I have to work how many years?
Exactly.
Get that. Do you understand?
Yeah.
But they'll be saying, this boy, he's not serious. Do you understand? He just wants to be kicking the ball up and down. No. So it's the gifts. It's looking at your children and understanding and praying and lifting them up and just studying your children. Just like you said, research. Research is powerful. Not just research in the past, but even present, and say, okay, what are the characteristics? What makes this person happy? That is not work for them. It's it's what they love to do.
So funny. Let me even chime in. It's so interesting because and I can tell you're gingering me up because you're talking about things I love. So it's funny. So one of the things that I'm doing, and I'll shamelessly pub it out there, and I'm putting so we're working on a study. My team and I are working on a study right now that is investigating African immigrants or people of African descent and how they're reacting to the COVID-19 pandemic, right? So Africans in America, whether you were born here or you came at a young age or you came at an old age, but if you're here as an African immigrant, or you're a child of an African immigrant and you're growing up here during this pandemic, like how is it affecting you and your family, right? So we're collecting data, we're interviewing people. If you want to join, you can always join. But
nice.
But that's my pub there. But one of the things I found interesting so far, we just started, is that many of the people we've talked to are young professionals so far, like they're young and educated, maybe doctors or nurses, right? And one of the things I always find out as interesting is that you ask them, you say, okay, you're a nurse, you're a full-blown nurse, like your parents then were harassing you to go to school, make sure you get education, make sure you do medicine, make sure you do nursing, go and do this, do that, right? And then as soon as the pandemic hits, you're in the middle of a full-blown pandemic, and most of them, I ask them, I said, do your parents take you seriously because you're a nurse? They say no. It's funny because it's like your parents stressed you. I mean, they vexed to tell you to go to school, go and do this. And when you were even doing your pre-med, it's like, my daughter's about to be a doctor. And then by the time you become a doctor, you're telling them something, say, well, what do you know? It's not me that on you. It's like, and I find it so perplexing because I'm just like, you told your kids to go through all this, and then now they're actually using their expertise to help you. And then most of them are like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. And it's like, what is it?
They're looking at you at this small child, in their eyes will always be their
kids,
their small girl, their small boy. So they're like, how can you be advising us as a subject matter expert? Who be you? When I carry you for 9 months, you're the one that. So I said, Mommy, so you're gonna trust another doctor or nurse outside?
Right.
Me that you born, that I'm your blood, that I'm telling you that this is how you need to protect yourself. You say go somewhere. So it's our people now.
It's our people, though. Like I always find myself, I'm just laughing. It's so hilarious to me because I'm like, it's so contradictory too. So it's like, what was you stressing me? I should just go and do. I should go and do art or do something that made me happy. If I'm a doctor now, I'm trying to use it for the person that's most important to me, and you're telling me that what I'm saying doesn't mean anything because not me born you, like, So, but yeah, that's our people for sure. But I think with ACA, I think one of the things that we need to do as we move forward is try to find ways to be able to, I think as alums, come together and come up with new initiatives to be able to get students from ACA to do some type of a group trip in December to go to Africa.
Yes, that would be hot.
It'd be so dope to be able to plan a trip. And I think, like I said, there are companies, there are companies and organizations out there now that are doing that because they're taking advantage of the fact that our people, we tend to go back in the winter.
And going back, yes.
So why not?
December, yeah.
And
my sister, she's a travel agent. She's organized a lot of group trips, and I think that'll be great. And not just even ACA, but I think since a lot of ACA members are also Black Greek members. So I've talked to Black fraternity and sorority members. They're like, we want to partner with ACA, and that's how we used to get like a lot of people to come to our events. We'll harass all the Black Greeks, like, we are part of you guys, or Africa.
Many of them are Africans anyway. Many of them are members of ACA. ACA, I used to say that ACA is like the Greek Black, the Divine Nine Junior, because most of us, even myself included, a lot of them, the leaders, that find themselves being Greek some way, some shape, some form. So there's the connection is already there. It's like ACA now, the ones that born you, because so you never end up, and those who end up going to become Greek or something, they never lose the love for ACA. So it's like we always find.
And I told them take it up a notch, because even like in Jamaica, I didn't know they had a chapter. I told my sister, I said, oh, they have a Delta chapter there. I said, do we even have chapters? A lot of chapters in Africa, so things like that. I said, y'all, even ACA chapters. I said, we don't have to just be at one campus. I said, you can spread out to other campuses. So that's facts. I didn't even think about that, but as far as like being able to do something back home, that would be cool. That would be love. Like you know what I really always wanted to do. When I was advisor, and I have so many crazy ideas, but this was one of my favorite ones. And one of the things that I thought we should always try to do is do like an exchange program. Yes,
right? That would be so cool. Like
that is dope. That's not crazy. That is so dope. You know why? So let me tell you a story. I had a heart condition when I was at U of I, and then I had to go to the hospital, University of Chicago. So my mom worked at University of Chicago as a respiratory therapist. So I was able to get treatment there. So the cardiologist, check this out, white dude, cool as hell. He went to the University of Jos. He did his residency, his exchange program. Like when Nigeria was good in the late 70s and 80s.
When the Naira was heavy.
I was so shocked. And he spoke like fluent Hausa, and I was like, I said, wow. I said, I'm confused. Were you born in Nigeria? He said no, that they had a really good exchange program, and I know some other people that even went to, University of Ibadan. These are other races coming to Nigeria, not to talk about us Black. So having that exchange program, I think that would be a great thing if you were able to launch that. Like, I see somebody like you launching something like that, since you're already connected with a university, and then link with a good university back in Nigeria or whatever. It don't even have to be in Nigeria. There's plenty of good universities across Africa, and start an exchange program. But of course, Nigeria, know they carry less. So
never carry less, man. That's definitely something I want to do. And initially, the thought was to do it from a local standpoint, and then expand to international, right? Because like as a pilot, so for example, maybe there's the African Student Union, their own version of ACA, and like University of Wisconsin and U of I, and then you exchange for a weekend. You spend a weekend on their campus, you spend a weekend on our campus, and then we meet in the middle, we have a discussion, we talk about our experiences, and then we go back, and then we try to do something like that in Africa, right? So for example, University of Ibadan, Unilag or something, some students come there, you have some students from ACA go there, maybe you spend like 3 weeks, like study abroad type things, and spend a couple weeks maybe, and then you do that, and then you come back and you have a discussion, you do a presentation, you talk about your experiences, what you like, what you didn't like, right? I mean, so as long as all the logistics are set, I think is a very, very feasible idea, right? So like those are things that I think could be in the wheelhouse in the future for organizations like ACA, in order for them to evolve so that they can continue to promote like this idea of becoming transnational, becoming dual citizen, bicultural, whatever you want to call it.
That's the both worlds. Hey,
the both worlds. Myself, there's a bridge that we can build if we choose to build it, and
we have to build that bridge. We have to, because the times that we're living in now.
There's no reason why. I mean, why sit here and work yourself and strain yourself for no particular reason?
We're global citizens.
Go back. You can go to anywhere. Yeah. Why do that? There are people now that I know that have never left the Bronx. Like how?
You don't even have passport. You never even went outside of the East Coast. You never went to Chicago. I'm telling you,
there are people there that never.
Their eye don't open. No, their eye don't stay open. Now with this pandemic, they're like, so many people are now making pledges that they're gonna get a passport, they're gonna travel, they're gonna.
Because they realize, like, this thing is not that. You have to be able to allow yourself to go to other places so you can be able to see the world, like, so you don't just always believe everything that's being told to you. Like, you can go out and start to see what else, so you can start coming up with your own stories to tell. Like, this world is ours. That's why I believe this world is ours. That's why our Black is transnational, because this world is ours. We have the ability to be able to build bridges, because the truth is they forced us they forced our people to be able to go to these countries and build these countries for them.
And build other people's countries.
So
our
now
ancestors built America.
We're entitled. My sister, we're entitled.
That's why you tell some people, my cousins, they'll say, I'm praying for visa. I said, look, I've never in my life, that was never my prayer point for visa. No. Then they'll get upset. They say, oh, because you're American. I said, no. I said, it's not every country that American passport has, we can enter without visa. There's some countries that have to apply for visa, but that is never a prayer point. And I tell them, I said, my reason why is that I am a global citizen. And I said, the earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof. So meaning that I am beneficial to enter into any nation. If that nation does not give me a visa, that means that God is trying to prevent me from whatever nonsense that's going on in that country. Do you understand?
I understand.
Because I know the resources, the time, the talent, my treasures, my money, my investment I'm bringing into that country. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't want me to come to your country, no problem. I'll go somewhere else that's better.
They're the ones that lost. They're lost.
I said, but some people, they'll be fasting and pray. I said, for what? And then I said, your prayer point should be, God, I want to put you in remembrance of my ancestors that built that country.
Amen.
So God, that I am a citizen there. So because of the blood that was shed of my ancestors, that I have a right. So you will go into the courts of heaven and you will state your case. And there's no way that you go get rejected.
You know what?
You're looking at me now. I said,
no,
okay.
See, they're talking about visa and everything. It was so crazy. One of my friends that went to U of I as well. Her name is Oluchi. When I was talking about my own transnational thing, when I was getting on my own soapbox, I remember she reached out to me and she was telling me about, I think, her experience when she was working with the UN. And one of the things that she mentioned I thought was amazingly powerful, and I never thought about this. And I pray, if you're talking about prayer points, this is what I'm praying for. Because the thing about it is that she said, one day I feel like it's very reasonable, and I think that's something that she's trying to develop, and it is that there should be a passport for Black people.
There should.
African Americans, that allow. I think African Union now has created a passport similar to ECOWAS, but it's supposed to be like allowing all Africans to go to any country in Africa.
Yeah, they're trying to do that.
They're trying to do that
with trade, open trade, and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Take it to the next level.
Yeah.
Like the African Americans in the diaspora, they are entitled to a passport that allows them to go to any African nation so that they can.
Yes. And do you know how that will build the economy? The economy of Jesus.
That is what we need, my sister. Like, we need that, sis. Like, we need to be able to, and when we talk about ways that we're able to bridge that gap, we need to come up with a passport that allows our brothers and sisters here in the diaspora, African Americans, Caribbean, whoever, to be able to give them the license and the permission to go to any of the countries in Africa or wherever in the world. Like, we deserve that type of passport.
And then people like you, I can see like liaisons, at that higher level,
that's what I'm trying to do.
Like West Africa liaison, like how they have ECOWAS liaison. 54 nations will have a liaison who is diplomatic. You will have like an African Union diplomatic passport, and you will be like the bridge maker. And they'll say, okay, so if you go to Nigeria, you guys go and see Dr. Kalechi, He will be the one and his wife that will organize how everything is, where you will stay, where you want to invest, who you will meet, everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like that's how we're gonna rebuild back Africa. And a lot of us, that our history was stolen from our Black African American sisters and brothers. That's how we're gonna empower them back. That's how. That's the link. But Africa has to create that enabling environment. They have to create that passport. They have to have a way for them to get citizenship. They have to make sure that the trade, the investment process, there's not a lot of wahala. The way it's set up now is a lot of wahala.
It's a lot of wahala.
It's a lot of wahala. The paperwork and everything. If you don't know somebody, you can't get a lot of stuff done in Africa. But that's why we have to be like, the bridge and the lifeline to a lot of our people. And that's why I just thank you for, explaining the importance of being transnational and all the great things that you're doing now.
Thank you.
And that you even have in store for the future. But how can people connect with you to follow up? Because this discussion will continue offline. I'm sure many people that listen to this podcast will want to reach out. So how can they reach you?
Yeah, they can reach me. You can follow me on Instagram at @BlackTransnational_. Okay. That's how you follow my personal page. Also, make sure to follow my podcast, My Black is Transnational, and it's simply at Black Transnational Podcast. All right. And that's how you can reach me. You can also email me at blacktransnational17@gmail.com if you want to chat. And best believe if you hit me up on Instagram, because I don't Facebook, we have a Facebook page as well, but I'm trying my best to kind of reignite that fire with Facebook. So you can also follow us on Facebook as well at Black Transnational Podcast. That's where you can find the page. But for me personally, if you want to gist with me, you have to find me on Instagram at Black Transnational _. And I'm always down to talk, have conversations. And yeah, that's how you can reach me. And I mean, you can hit me up whenever.
Thank you. So I'll leave you all with the African proverb of the week, which says, if we stand tall, it is because we stand on the shoulders of many ancestors. Once again, if we stand tall, it is because we stand on the shoulders of many ancestors. And Dr. Kelechi, you have so many seeds, you mentor many people, and I think a lot of the young generation will stand tall because of what you're doing and what you're going to do in the future, and just empowering us, to embrace us being Black and transnational, and of course the Shigerians,
yes.
Naija, we must represent. So thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much. It's my honor. I hope that I can have you on the show very soon, but it's definitely been my pleasure, and I am very grateful for this. This is a great opportunity for me to actually talk. I talk too much, but I did, and I felt free. So thank you.
No, you don't talk too much. It's from the heart, and I've learned a lot from you, and I'm sure my listeners have too. So bless up, and I look forward to doing more partnerships in the future.
Absolutely. Bless up, sis. Thank you.
Bless up.